Hi everyone, so welcome to the special session on the 2026 budget statement of the Republic of Ghana. My objective in this presentation is to help us practically identify some of the key issues we need to understand in the 2026 budget, and most importantly, how that is going to be affecting your pockets going into 2026. The reason why this is also important is also to help you as a student writing the ICAG examination, because there are a couple of implications of the budget that is likely to affect the outcome of the examination going into 2026. Issues such as principles of taxation, issues in respect of advanced taxation, even issues about public sector accounting and finance. There are various issues in respect of these subjects in the ICAG that we need to understand the implication of the budget. So aside practically how the 2026 budget statement of the Republic of Ghana affects your livelihood and your decisions and your choices going into 2026, how does that connect with your examination also going into the 2026? And that is exactly what we want to get excited into in the discussion. So let's go straight up into the 2026 budget statement of the Republic of Ghana. Now, the objective of the budget was to reset for growth. So resetting for growth, job, and economic transformation. And as always, the budget is going to be presented by the Minister of Finance on behalf of the President, because as per the 1992 Constitution, the President shall cause the budget to be presented at least a month before the end of the year, the budget of the ensuing year, to Parliament, right? So that Parliament can deliberate on it and all that. And so the budget is not the budget of the Finance Minister. Everything in the budget is presented by the Finance Minister on behalf of the President at the end of the day. And so what I'm going to do is to talk about three levels. The first one, we're going to be talking about how they started the year with this administration from January. Then we'll look at what they have been able to achieve so far in the 2025 as we are wrapping up first quarter, second quarter, and third quarter. That is what can be recorded now, or that we have now. Then we will look at what is in the budget and how 2026 is shaped out generally to help us to understand what is going on at the end of the day. So let's start from January, where they started. So our starting point. Now, as per this government came into power in January 2025. And so for that reason, the idea was, and I'm quoting this from the Minister of Finance, it says, "We met an economy in distress, weighed down by debt, weakened by mismanagement, and stripped of confidence." So these were the four key issues that the Minister of Finance described the economy of Ghana as at 7th of January, that they took over the administration of this country after the election. So an economy in distress, weighed down by debt, because our public debt was just out of ways. Mismanagement, and certainly stripped of confidence. So what were some of the key highlights prior to taking over in the new administration? The first one was the issue about inflation. As at December 2024, our inflation was around 23.8%. Now, if you're a person or you are an individual in Ghana, you will understand that at a certain point, our inflation rate was around 54%. And so gradually the government, before the election, tried to do something about it to bring it down from the 54% to around 23.8%. So that was the position of our inflation by 31st December 2024. But then in addition to that, our debt to GDP at 31st December 2024 was around 61.8%. Now, debt to GDP is simply measuring the amount of debt as a percentage of your total GDP. In other words, now GDP is the value of the goods and services produced in the country. And so if you're a public sector accounting and finance student, debt to GDP is one of the ratios we use to evaluate the financial position of the government at the end of the day. And this is a crucial thing because it signals how debt is being managed, how sustainable the debt position of the country is at the end of the day. It's a very classical indicator that is used to assess the debt sustainability strategy of the government and the overall utilization of government's debt. So it was 61.8%. Now, it's not too bad, 61.8%. Now, remember, this was because of the debt exchange program that the government initiated. Because at some point, our debt to GDP was over 100%, and things were not good. And so because of that, we went to IMF. And then at the end of the day, government has to do the debt restructuring program, and people suffered haircuts, people lost their investments. All of those things were what brought our debt to GDP ratio to around 61.8%. So it was a harsh thing that happened. People lost their investment. Bank of Ghana, being the central bank, also lost a lot of money. So significant portion of the losses recorded by the Bank of Ghana was also included in that debt exchange program, because the Bank of Ghana had bought some of the debt issued by the Republic. And so when the Republic is doing haircuts, then the Bank of Ghana also suffered. But that is the idea about the issue in respect of the debt to GDP. So it's not just because, oh, the government is being prudent in its debt management. No, we achieved this debt to GDP at December 2024 because of the debt exchange program and the fact that many people have to lose their investment as a result of the government's inability to sustainably manage the public debt of the Republic of Ghana. Then the third thing was the rapid depreciation of the Ghana cedi. If you remember, at one time, the Ghana cedi was at 16.48. And this was very, very problematic. Remember, the Ghana cedi depreciating was after the Bank of Ghana had injected about $3 billion into the economy, and after the government has put together a 40-member committee to investigate the rapid depreciation of the Ghana cedi. So it was like they didn't really understand, they didn't really know what was going on with how the Ghana cedi was depreciating. And so if someone tells you today that, oh, the Ghana cedi that is seeing sustainability now, it is because the Bank of Ghana is pumping money into the economy, then that person is deceiving you. Why? Because the Bank of Ghana pumped money into the economy last year, about 3 billion Ghana cedis. $3 billion. And even that, the cedi was still depreciating. Now, as of the third quarter of 2025, the Bank of Ghana has pumped a little above 2 billion, or close to, maybe it wouldn't be up to 3 billion. So if someone says that, the reason why we are seeing sustainability in the Ghana cedi is because the central bank is intervening in the forex market, what is the purpose of the central bank if not to intervene to ensure currency stability? What is the purpose of a country building a lot of foreign reserves but not using that reserve to reduce cost of living, to reduce cost of production for businesses? And so that was the issue. So it tells you that, and this shows the issue about mismanagement of the economy and the confidence that was lost under the previous administration. Because yes, central bank was intervening, but still the Ghana cedi was just depreciating. They couldn't understand exactly what was going on. Then the last thing that we can use to describe, per the finance minister, is the collapsing of investors' confidence and the foreign direct investment flows. Because nothing was really working. Cost of living was high. Everything was increasing significantly high. So investors didn't have a lot of confidence in our economy. This was where this administration started from. And so that is why the finance minister stated that we met an economy in distress, weighed down by debt, weakened by mismanagement, and stripped of confidence. So that was the starting point. Then we asked ourselves, at October 2025, where are we? That's the second phase. So the 2025 turnaround. So the first budget for 2025 was presented in Parliament, and that is restoring stability and confidence. And so, per the finance minister's presentation, through discipline, reform, and resilience, Ghana's economy is breathing again, stronger, steadier, and full of promise. What are some of the things that made the finance minister to reach that conclusion? A couple of things. The first thing is GDP growth. That is a gross domestic growth for the first half of the year, about 6.3%. That's quite significant. It tells you that the reforms you've put in place, they are working well. Two is the, significant drop in the inflation. Remember, they started with 23.8. As at October 2025, inflation now is 8%, single digit. Now, just so you know, because of the IMF program and various other things, it was predicted that Ghana by the end of 2025 will be having inflation around 8% if government follows the plan and the discipline and the various things that they were doing under the implementation of the IMF program. So yeah, this is already something we knew, but through discipline or without discipline, without reform, without resilience, and without some key decisions by management, by the management of the economy, we wouldn't have achieved this. But that is inflation for us. Then the cedi. The cedi that was significantly depreciating in December 2024 or December 2024 now has seen by November 2025 approximately about 34.6% appreciation in the cedi. And that is a good thing for us because at the end of the day, it tells you that importation is going to reduce. And that is a plus for a lot of businesses at the end of the day. Importation will be reduced. Cost of doing business significantly will be reduced. So cedi appreciation, that is a plus for the government. Then 1.6% primary surplus by September 2025. Now, the primary surplus looks at the difference between the total revenue for the government minus the total expenditure of the government, excluding interest expenses. That is primary balance. Okay, so for those of you in the public sector accounting and finance class, you're going to be preparing the statement of financial performance, right? When you prepare the statement of financial performance, total revenue minus total expenditure, you get the net operating results. That net operating results can be positive or negative. If it is positive, it means your revenue exceeded your expenditures. If it is negative, it means your expenditures were more than your revenue. That is the idea in respect of that. Now, primary balance is your revenue minus expenditures, excluding interest expenses. So the idea is that assuming government was not paying interest on debt, what would have been our balance if we look at the revenue and the expenditures? That is 1.6. Now, this is good, but also we have to be careful because if this figure is too high, it tells you that the money that government has allocated to spend on certain item might not be spent for their intended purpose. So it's not something that we will always have to clap for. That, because government did not meet all its revenue targets. It fell short of the revenue targets by the for the first half of the year, about, I think, 5% or so, right? So revenue target fell short a little bit. And so the surplus 1.6, we wouldn't say it's a bad position to be at. And then certainly the last thing was the reserve that we have to be able to cover for import, and that is 4.8 month. I think they took it from 3 point something or 4. And so, yeah, that is quite also an improvement. So these are the things that the administration has been able to do to try to bring the country back into confidence, bring the country back into sustainability, growth, and all of those things. So based on these things, the finance minister said, and I quote, "Never again must we allow recklessness, waste, and indiscipline to define how we handle the people's money." So these are some of the things that the government has been able to do, turn around the economy from January up to, give and take, around September 2025. Okay. So, in addition to that, the world has taken notice, and Ghana is credible, stable, and open for business. Why? Because Fitch Ratings upgraded Ghana to B minus with stable outlook in June 2025. Moody's Investor Service also upgraded Ghana to CAAA1 with a stable outlook. S&P Global Ratings also upgraded Ghana to B minus / B with a stable outlook. What does this tell you? It tells you that these international ratings and investment institutions and watchers of various economies are saying that, oh, there is a strong fiscal discipline now. Because remember, at one point, allegedly, we were a junk economy. So, but then now, they were seeing that there is a strong fiscal discipline. We are not just spending money because we have to spend it. We have to spend it. We are spending money because it is being spent on what it needs to be spent on. And that is very important there. Not only that, the successful debt restructuring and then resilience of the city. Because one of the things you must understand is that the debt restructuring program that the previous administration started was not completed. And so when this administration continued, they had come, and per the Minister of Finance, some additional debt have even been renegotiated. And so at the end of the day, our debt to GDP has improved significantly, and that came up because of the appreciation of the city, or the stability we are seeing in the city, and the fact that the debt restructuring program is also being successfully done at the end of the day. And many of the public debts have been renegotiated. Some PPP projects under the electricity independent power producers has also been undertaken, saving the country in upward of about $250 million. And so all of those debt renegotiation, which the previous administration started, which this administration is continuing, have all contributed to where we are now as a country that the world is seeing as having a stable economy, because there is what? Fiscal discipline. Our city is quite resilient, and there is outlook for a positive outlook or stable outlook for the future. And that is a good thing for Ghana. Why? Because it means that if government is seeking to raise finance, they can raise the finance at lower interest rate. That's very good. Number two, it tells you that investors are going to now trust to do business with Ghana. So it will bring about foreign direct investment. So let's go then and look at the issue in 2026. So now that we've seen where we are now, where are we going in 2026? So our mission, 2026. The goal of the government is to move from stability to transformation. Now the economy is stable. To some extent, the Ghana city is stable. To some extent, fuel prices will be considered to be stable. So there is some level of stability. This is the time to now transform the economy. So how does the government achieve that? Building on the foundation we have laid, the 2026 budget will convert stability into opportunity and opportunity into prosperity for all Ghanaians. And so the goal of the government is to have an overall GDP of around 4.8%. Now, if you remember, we achieved GDP growth of 6.3% the first half of the year. But now they are aiming to have just 4.8% growth. As to why that is, and this is in real terms, not in nominal terms, because usually GDP growth in nominal terms sometimes could be higher than the real terms. It depends on what is happening there. So, I mean, it's okay. Then they still want to maintain the inflation rate at single digit, 8%, which tells you that. Now, one thing you must understand is that inflation is the rate of increase in the prices of goods and services. So if inflation rate reduces, it doesn't necessarily mean that the price of things should reduce. It is only saying that the price of things will be rising, but the rate at which they are rising will just be around 8%. as compared to previously the 54% we had and the 23.8% we had. And that is the idea, because there is another level of misconception that some people have, and they are like, oh, you say inflation is low, but we can't see it. That there is nothing happening. Prices of things are still high. Yes, inflation reducing does not mean prices will fall. It simply means prices are still rising, but they are rising at just 8%. So the effect will not even be anything that's significant that you will see. The primary surplus, they still want to keep it around 1.5% of GDP, and then they want to keep gross international reserves to cover imports above 3 months, which is a good thing at the end of the day. So the question we then have to ask ourselves is, per the 2026 budget, what are the pillars? What are the anchor that will hold the government to be able to achieve the things they want to achieve in 2026? Now, remember, we use the medium-term expenditure framework. So although we are looking at 2026, it actually overlaps into 7, 8, in that order, right? There are 3 engines of growth and job for the transformation of the economy. 3 key engines. The first one is the 24-hour economy. Now, you see, there has been a lot about the 24-hour economy, and there has been a lot of misunderstanding about the 24-hour economy. But per what is going on in the explanation about the 24-hour economy, it is a policy that is going to be integrated in the various sectors of the economy. So unlike a policy like free SHS, where we saw, free SHS, okay, it means that when you are done with a high school or JHS and you pass, you get admission to the senior high school, you go to school free. The 24-hour economy is not just one-sided thing like that. It's a policy that is going to be integrated into the various sectors of the economy if it will be possible. And so they say that the initiative is going to accelerate industrialization, it's going to boost exports, and create over 1.7 million decent jobs by 2028 through a fully integrated chain approach. You get the idea. So that you will hear sometimes some people in the opposition and even some public commentators will say that, what is the budget for the 24-hour economy? There is nothing about 24-hour economy. The government is saying that, listen, the 24-hour economy is not like one thing and we'll allocate money for it. It is something we're going to be integrating into the various sectors of the economy to ensure that there is going to be growth, there is going to be transformation at the end of the day. So that's the first thing, because if companies can be given the capacity to be able to operate around the clock, then more jobs are going to be created than usual, and it will increase the standard of living of the citizens because more people will have money to purchase, which in turn increase government revenue from taxes, both direct and indirect, from the citizens who are buying, earning the money, and from the companies making more profit, paying corporate taxes. So that is the idea in respect of that. Then we go to the issue in respect of the second one, the big push. The big push is where the government is putting around $10 billion infrastructure program to modernize roads, bridges, and ports. And a key flagship project is the expressway. That is a 6-lane highway, to have travel time. And that's from Accra to Kumasi with a lot of things. I mean, when I saw the video, the rendering of the expressway, I mean, it's something that if the government is able to pull, it will really, really be a game changer. Because the adjoining towns, communities, and everything, it's going to be great. But some proponents are also like, hey, why not work on the one that the previous administration was already working on? Then they are like, no, we were still going to be working on that, but this one will be just a flagship thing we want to do at the end of the day. So I don't know, fingers crossed. I'm praying that they will be able to achieve this because it will help a lot. Then the third key engine driving this transformation is agriculture modernization. driving food security and export, anchored by Feed Ghana program and a new national policy on integrated oil palm development to cultivate 100,000 new hectares and create 250,000 jobs. So the 24-hour economy, the big push project, and then agriculture modernization, because the government wants to even provide tractors and tools, and we'll look at some of these things as we proceed in my presentation though. But those are some of the things we need to understand when we talk about the 3 engines of growth and jobs for transformation or for a transformed economy. Now, let's come to the tax system, because there is now a fairer, simpler tax system for all, and this is premised on VAT, and this is where your pocket is going to be affected a lot. So you want to stay with me on this one, because I'm going to expand on this one very well. A bold package of VAT reform will make our tax system more equitable, transparent, and business friendly, putting 5.7 billion back into the pockets of individuals and businesses in 2026. Why? Because government has abolished the COVID-19 levy, and government has stated that Get Fund and NHIL levies will be subject to what? Input tax deductions. Now, what does that mean? Let me give you an example. This is a credit that I purchased, data bundle from Telecel. So I'm just going to use it as a guinea pig to explain the idea about what is going to change as we go forward. So currently, if I pay 300 Ghana cedi to buy data bundle, so the difference of 65 Ghana cedi is going to the government in the form of taxes. And the reason why 65 Ghana cedi is what is going to the government in the form of taxes is because of the way our tax is structured and the cascading effect. So just an example, I'm using this as an example. In practice, there could be a little modification about it, but I'm using this as an example to explain to you what is happening. So now, COVID-19 levy is out. So I will no longer have to pay 2 cedi 35 pesos on my 300 Ghana cedi. Then the VAT of 39 Ghana cedi is going to change. Why? Because the calculation will change. So let's do the calculation together. So currently, Telecel will take still 235. So taxable value, still 235. Communication service tax is 5%. We'll still pay that 11.75, communication service tax. NHIL, all right, and Get Fund, we'll still pay that, it's still there, together 5%, and that is going to be 5.88 times 2, 11.76. But you see, previously, what happened was that all those things would have been added to the original 235 cedis. Then we would have charged the VAT of 15% on that value. So it was tax on tax. That was the first thing. The second thing was that businesses couldn't claim the NHIL and Get Fund as an input tax credit if you're a VAT registered entity. But now you can claim that as well. So with the removal of the COVID levy and then the cascading effect of tax, now the VAT will still be on the original value 35.35, 235 cedis. So the VAT at 15%, let's see, 0.15 by 235 cedis. That's around 35 cedis, 25 pesos. Remember, under the current system, the VAT would have been 39 cedis. But under the new system, the VAT is now 35.25. So in total, it means that the fee will now become plus 11.67 plus 11.75 plus 235. And that is going to be 293.76. So if you check it carefully, previously you will be paying 300 Ghana cedis. But now per the new system, you will pay 293.74, which means technically, how much are we saving? Is it 6 Ghana cedis? Yeah. There's a 6 Ghana cedi reduction in the 300 Ghana cedis. Now, I don't want you to look at it and say, oh, there's 600 Ghana cedi, 6 Ghana cedi, no. If it compounds, depending on the volume or the size of the transaction, that 6 Ghana cedi is going to translate into millions or billions of Ghana cedi. And again, if I'm a business owner, it means I could now claim both the VAT and the NHIL as an input VAT, which means it will reduce my cost of production. So when I'm charging someone else, I wouldn't have to charge them more at the end of the day. This is what the new VAT system is going to be like. And so that reduction is what the Minister of Finance deemed as about 5.7 billion giving back to the people. So now it means your data cost will reduce slightly. Your bundle, okay, airtime cost will reduce slightly because of the build-up and the VAT component in those things. That is the idea about this. Let's use the same example on the standard VAT idea. So let's say you go buy something from a VAT registered person, and the person price for the thing that we are buying is 300 Ghana cedi. Okay, it's 300 Ghana cedis. The person is going to charge currently Get Fund and NHIL. That's together 5%. So let's go 0.05 by 300 Ghana cedis. That's 15 Ghana. Then the person will charge COVID levy, the 1% on that. That's 3 cedis. Then we would have had the taxable value, 18. That would be 318. That becomes the taxable value. Then the person will charge VAT on us now, 15%. So 0.15 by 318. That's 47 cedi, 70 pesos. So in total, something that is 300 Ghana cedi, the tax invoice I'm going to get will now be plus 318, will now be 365 Ghana cedi, 70 pesos. Are you getting the idea? So this is the current system. Again, if I'm a business and I bought this, the current system, if I'm a VAT registered agent as well, I could get this 47 cedi, 70 pesos as a relief. That is the current system. That's all I get as a current system. Because if I'm a VAT registered agent, I collect VAT. When I'm selling, I'll charge people VAT. When I'm buying, I pay VAT. At the end of the day, I file the VAT returns. And when I file my VAT returns, it is the difference between what I collected, which is the output VAT, and what I paid, which is the input VAT. If I collected more than I paid, then the difference will be given to the GRA. If I paid more than I collected, then the GRA will credit me or will have to refund me the excess. So under the current system, this would be the case. Businesses, VAT registered businesses, are only taking the 47.7 as a deduction. Then you, the citizen, you, the final consumer, you will have to pay the business 365.70 Ghana cedis. Under the new system, this is what's going to happen. Still, we are at price 300. Get Fund and NHIL is still going to be there. Okay, 15 Ghana cedis. But now, the VAT is going to come like this, 15% on the 300 Ghana cedis. And that's going to be 45 Ghana cedi. So now, there's no longer COVID levy. So now what is happening is that 45 plus 15 plus 300, I'm going to pay 360 cedis. So right now, per the reform from 2026, if the budget is approved, it will be 360 Ghana cedis. Cheaper, right? That's one of the benefits. Number two, if I'm a VAT registered entity or agent, I will get both the VAT and the Get Fund levy 15 as a deduction. So in total, all of this money will be a deduction for me. So it means my cost of production will be lower, because under the current system, the Get Fund, the COVID levy, NHIL, you wouldn't get any relief for it. You only get a relief for the VAT component. This is the change coming in under the VAT system. So yes, there is a reduction in how much you have to pay now on the things that you buy. That is why, again, the finance minister is saying that on the basis of that, there is about 5.7 billion Ghana cedi that is given back to businesses, back to consumers. That means you can buy more. And the more you buy, the more businesses are making more money, and there is going to be economic growth. You see, if you check the world really, there shouldn't be taxes like that. Okay? There shouldn't be more taxes. But, sometimes because of how lazy some governments are, they think it's about introducing more taxes. No, it's not about introducing more taxes. It's about rationalizing the tax system in such a way that people have less burden on tax and they can buy more, because this is what's going to happen. Now that there is this reduction, even if I was the government, I would say, hey, maybe corporate tax, let's slash corporate tax a little bit. Let's reduce corporate tax a little bit from the standard 25% to maybe 18%. Now, if there is a reduction in tax rates, this is what's going to happen. It means that entities are going to retain a lot of profit, right? That profit, they're going to bring it back, plow it back into the business. So they will expand and grow. When they expand and grow, what is happening? They will need more people to be employed. So employment rate will reduce, will create more employment. When the people are employed, what is going to happen? They will earn income, and they would have to pay direct taxes, PAYE, to the government on their income. Now, the people who were not having money are now going to have money, and they can buy. And when they are buying, government is going to get what? Indirect taxes from the people. So elimination of nuance and unreasonable taxes actually stimulates growth of an economy. But for some reason, sometimes some governments think it's about introducing new taxes to just overburden the country. All right? So this is what is going to happen from 2026 when this budget is approved, because now your cost is going to reduce. You will pay lesser amount for your data, for everything you buy that is having these taxes on. And from a business perspective, if you're an entrepreneur, you own a business, or you run a business and you're a VAT registered agent, now you can get those levies as a deduction as well, reducing your cost of service, more profit to you. You charge reasonable price, and you can sell more and expand and grow, create job, and transform the economy. This is the agenda of transforming Ghana's economy. So the government's decision to abolish the COVID levy, and then the rationalization of the tax effect by removing that cascading effect and trying to now decouple the VAT from the NHIL levy, all of that is very important. But it came at a little price, because now the VAT registration threshold has moved from 200,000 to 750,000. And this is where some people are against this deal, that, it is going to cut them out, because now you can only register for VAT to be a VAT registered agent if your sales is expected to be 750,000 Ghana cedis, unlike the previous 200,000 Ghana cedis. The reason is because this will reduce administrative cost, right? So that, if you're a small business owner, your sales is 200,000 or between 200,000 and 750,000. Focus on your business. Don't come and worry us with VAT, because you wouldn't have the system available for us to even have everything right. So the government says, hey, we don't like any headache. We've increased the threshold to 750,000. By that level, it means that you're a business, you have better structures in place. We can bring in and issue those VAT invoices very well. Because there are many of these small businesses that have registered for VAT, but they won't give you receipt. When you buy from them, they don't want to give you VAT invoice. Sometimes they will ask you, oh, do you want receipt? Who pay receipt, Anna? And you're like, yeah. And they are supposed to give you a VAT because they are a VAT registered company. And some of the businesses, they have the VAT receipts there, then they have their standard receipt. So in some cases, they will just issue the standard receipt to you. In other cases, they will issue the VAT receipt. Because if they go to GRA is looking at the receipts they have issued to know the output VAT that they have collected, to be able to then make a decision about it at the end of the day. So I think it's about how the government is seeing things that are going on, and the government is like, hey, let's ease the burden of small and micro businesses. So what is the key takeaway now under VAT? Number one, COVID levy has been abolished if it is approved, right? Number two is that the cost of doing business is going to be lower now because because of decoupling of the VAT and the NHIL. Number three, businesses, VAT registered entities, can now claim a deduction for the levies, which is the COVID levy and the NHIL levy. And these are the three core issues. Then the fourth thing definitely is the fact that the threshold has now been increased from 200,000 to 750,000 Ghana cedi. That is where or when, if I can put it that way, you can register for VAT. But the government didn't end there. They said they have also brought in an extension for zero rating of locally manufactured textile. Actually, it was supposed to have expired around, I think, the end of this year or so. Zero rated textile, so that locally produced textile, it will be treated as zero rated, meaning that the VAT on it will be zero. If the VAT on it is zero, it means that the cost of production is going to reduce. The price at the end of the day will not be too expensive for people to buy, so that it will protect jobs. And per their narrative, it is projected to protect over 2,000 jobs up to 2028. So these are the issues that we must understand generally when it comes to the VAT as well. In addition to that, the government says, hey, listen, I'm not just doing 24-hour economy. I'm not just doing big push infrastructure. I'm not just doing modernization in the agriculture sector. We have to also invest in our people. We have to invest in the citizens. So how does the government plan to invest in people? Two ways broadly. Number one is ending the double track, meaning expanding infrastructure in SHS to eliminate the double track system by 2026. Because, I mean, the yellow and green, that thing, it's quite amazing, right? Those times that we were in high school, that we went to school like 3 months fully, people were still having problems. We had a lot of bondelisms in the class. These days, this green and yellow and blue and things, sometimes people go to school for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Then they say, hey, they should go home. Another squad is coming. I like this country, and because I don't know. So really, the government's goal to end the double track will increase the quality of teacher-student time, number one, and will also increase the quality of the SHS graduates that are coming in at the end of the day. Because if you're a follower of the news, you've heard this before. Many of the universities are having problems, especially with the, some of these free SHS people coming in, because they are in level 100 and they can't even get 1.0 GPA. Like, they can't even construct simple English. But for some reason, they passed the WASI and they are going to the university. So that double track ending it will really revert our education system back to the traditional thing, so that students will have quality time with teachers, and we will have the regular time so that students can be trained properly the way they used to be trained prior to this free SHS double track system. Then improving access. And so in order to improve access, the government says, hey, listen, constructing 200 new junior high schools, 200 new primary schools, and 200 kindergartens. I mean, such an ambitious project. Okay, it's an ambitious project, but these are good things because we still have a lot of schools under tree, right? A lot of schools in dilapidated buildings, which means that when the weather becomes a little cloudy, then we have to go home, right? Those days in the village, I mean, because the building doesn't have the integrity of the building cannot be trusted. Immediately the weather becomes some way. No, now the day is over, night is drawing near, shadows of the evening, so across the star, amen. We are closing, be in the name of God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. We are gone. Right? We are gone. So government initiative to remove a lot of these to construct, certainly 200 may not be enough. Okay, may not be adequate, but at least it's going to solve a lot of the problems. So that's a good thing. Then supporting learners. Government is continuing with the free SHS program, but now they are expanding it to include about 70 private schools, right? Because it's important. Many private schools have been struggling to some extent, all right, because of the free SHS, right? Because under the previous system, a lot of people would have gone to the private schools, right? So now government is extending or expanding the free SHS so that the private schools will also be involved. So that's the first thing in the education sector. Now, in addition to these, certainly government is spending still a lot of money on paying allowances to teachers. One of the useless things we do in this country. I keep on saying this. What is the point in paying teacher training allowances, nursing training allowances, for people to go to teacher training or nursing training? They will finish, but there is no job. They will finish, and government cannot appoint them. This week, some people were demonstrating, and some people are like, they finished school 2023. They have their licensure certificate and everything, but they've still not be posted. And I'm like, we have to end this system, because why do you give people, and the money government is spending on teacher training allowance, it's quite significant amount of money. Why would you pay teacher training allowances, nursing training allowances, and people who graduate and they can't get posting? You know why government cannot post you? Government cannot post you because government doesn't have the money to pay you your salaries. Government cannot post you because there are no infrastructure available. So how about we stop paying these allowances to the nurses, we stop paying the allowances to the teachers, so that government can use that money, build some infrastructure so that when you finish school, you will get posting, or government will use that to cushion its payroll to post you when you graduate. Think about it. I am not against the fact that people are benefiting. Because sometimes when I say that, people are like, oh, do you know the allowances, the way it helps us? The university student, who gives them allowance? If you don't have money to go to nursing training or teacher training, then get a student loan. That's all. We shouldn't give people allowances to go to teacher training. We shouldn't give people allowances to go to nursing training. It's not needed. If somebody doesn't want to go to nursing training or teacher training because they are not paying allowances, then they should go do something else. Because what is the point? You have graduated. You have your certificate. Now you have to demonstrate before they post some of you. What's the point? What's the point in taking allowances for 3 years or 2 years or whatever number of years in training college, only to finish and you are now unemployed and you are sitting at home? Think about it. Think about it. But you know, this country, one of the things that people like a lot of free things. So when you say allowances, hey, and the politicians use it. But we need to sit down as a nation and think about it strategically. Think about it consciously that, hey, what is the point in the continuous payment of allowances that at the end of the day, it won't yield to any outcome? What's the point? Well, I saw the people in the news and you could see the pain, the stress, the shame The disgrace. Because if you are unemployed in this part of the world because you are not posted, like, you are stressed out. And that's my plea. We have to cancel teacher training allowance, nursing training allowance. Cancel that thing. And let's use that money to cushion government's payroll to be able to employ them when they graduate. Or use that money to build infrastructure facility. And if that means less people will be trained, we already have a lot of graduates in the system. So if you won't go to nursing training or teacher training because they are not paying allowance, it's your life. But again, Ghana, we like free staffs. Because we like free staffs, that's it. So any government that will come and preach that, oh, I'll give you this, people will rally their support, forgetting that when they graduate, there is no job for them. The second thing that the government is looking at is the issue in respect of the Mahama Care, right, that the government has launched. And this is the Ghana Medical Trust Fund to finance the treatment of, various diseases that are not covered under the National Health Insurance Levy, like cancer, stroke, and kidney diseases. And so they call it Mahama Care. And that also includes expanding infrastructure. And so government wants to construct 3 new regional hospitals and complete 10 of the Agenda 111 projects. You know, the Agenda 111 project that the previous administration started, government wants to build 10 of them. And also, government is seeking to partner with a lot of the faith-based institutions, okay, the churches in the country and other NGOs in the country to be able to finish the Agenda 111, because many churches have their own hospitals and things, right? So if the churches can come in and partly finance it, the rest of the Agenda 111 project, then it becomes a quasi-government hospital, right? That is a good thing at the end of the day. Then sustainable funding. That is uncapping the National Health Insurance Levy to ensure that timely payment and fund free primary health care, because there was a cap on how much can be transferred into the National Health Insurance Levy to pay for insurance, okay? When you go and you present your National Health Insurance card, the things. So now there is more money coming into that, and when there is more money coming in, what will happen is that government can then finance that on time, because at a point, many hospitals, if you go and you have the National Health Insurance card, they won't mind you. It means it is either you are paying cash or something else. So that's a good thing coming in to sustain it, because at least if the National Health Insurance can cover some of your bills, some of the basic things, so that you can pay out of pocket the rest, right? That's a good thing. So imagine you could pay, your hospital bill is, say, 4,000 cedis. And the National Health Insurance can cover around 800 Ghana cedis of that, or maybe 1,000 Ghana cedis of that. That's a good thing, right? Because, we all deserve some benefits at the end of the day. And that is what you must understand in respect of that. So these are the 2 key things that the government is considering as investing in our people so that we can build a prosperous future. Because we need healthy citizens who are also educated, right? Healthy citizens who are educated. Because if you have a lot of citizens who are illiterate, then there is going to be a problem. That's why the previous administration, the Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo administration, that was the goal. He wanted a literate economy, country. So he's like, hey, the bare minimum is SHS. So everybody must go to SHS because it was expensive. So now we've removed the cap. Everybody must go. But in addition to that, we also need a healthy economy, meaning citizens who are healthy, right? So Mahama Cares, uncapping of the NHIL, brings in a lot of money, provide a lot of relief, and help citizens at the end of the day. Then one of the things that has become a controversy in our country is securing our nation, protecting our resources. The first thing is retooling our security services. So the government of Ghana is planning 2026, 2027 to 2028, a comprehensive modernization program to strengthen the operational efficiency of our security services. How does government want to achieve that? The Ghana Armed Forces. Government want to acquire 72-meter offshore patrol vessel for the Navy and new helicopters and aircraft for the Air Force. And this is where some people have challenge with. And so some of the members in parliament, the minority caucus members in parliament, were asking, at this point of our economy, that people are demonstrating that there is no job, there is hardship, you want to carry money to go and buy 2 helicopters and 2 presidential jets, give and take about 13 billion Ghana cedis. Is that good? Is that right? And their concern is just asking question, right? When I watched the interview, he's just asking question. Is that the right thing to do now? Then number 2, Ghana National Fire Service procuring 100 new fire tenders and assorted equipment. That one is very, very important. Because sometimes you call fire service. There was a time there was a video trending at maybe an outskirt of Accra, where I think in another region, okay, where there was a fire. They called fire service, and the fire service personnel came in a taxi and holding a fire extinguisher. Can you imagine that? There is a fire, and they called fire service, and the fire service personnel came in a taxi with a fire extinguisher, right? So really, fire service is problematic. I mean, if you look at other countries and the kind of technologies they have, especially if there is a story building or they don't even have access directly to the fire, the technology that they are using, you ask yourself, Ghana, there, why? So, I mean, Ghana National Fire Service, that will be a game changer for them. It wouldn't be enough though, but hey, it will work a lot and it will help them at the end of the day. So this is about retooling security services, buying some jets, buying some helicopters, buying some vessels, patrol vessels for the Navy, and also giving some things to the Ghana National Fire Service. Again, the question is this the right time to do it? Put your politics aside. Put your politics aside. We need retooling of the army, because the quality of the airplanes they have is not of the best. I don't want to remind you of any pain, but the helicopter crash that killed 8 people. Yes, although the helicopter was worthy for flying, it lacked various things that would have informed the pilot ahead of time, and probably they could have prevented that crash. Right? So retooling of the army, getting them advanced things is important. Number 2, the presidential jet that they want to buy, new presidential jet, it's important. It's important because you see, currently, either the president flies commercial or he flies Jata, which is his brother's private jet. And many people think that is normal. But if you sit down and look at it carefully, that is not something we have to normalize. We cannot have the president flying a private citizen's jet. And, you know, I don't know why this country would think like that, but some people think, oh, he is not charging the state anything. It is free, and so it is helping. No. The president is not supposed to fly the private jet of his brother. It's not done anywhere, okay? Aside security issues, it's not done anywhere. His private jet might not be equipped with the security apparatus required by a president of Republic of Ghana. Number 2 is conflict of interest issues, right? So does it mean that if his company wants a contract from the government, will the company get it legitimately, Or they will say, oh, this person gives his private jet for the president to fly free. It will 100 contract for free. So it's a dangerous precedent we are setting. So in my opinion, the president either should fly commercial as he has been flying, or yes, we acquired a private jet, a new jet for the president. But taking his brother's jet, to me, it's not right. It's not right because, it's not supposed to be done. Now, that's my opinion, okay? That's my opinion. That's why I said, put your political wings aside. Put everything aside and look at it objectively. Objectively. That's why I'm asking you. If the company of his brother is looking for a project or going to apply for something, even if it is a competitive tendering, and his company is part of it, wouldn't there be any, prioritization, if I can put it that way, or favoritism? Because if he is giving his jet for free for the president to use, and you think that is saving us money, then if his company is bidding for a contract and there are other companies, who should we give the contract to? His brother. I'm not saying that is what is happening or that is what will happen. I'm only saying that let's look at this objectively. Then, unwavering fight against Galamsey. Galamsey is really causing a lot of troubles these days. But the government says, hey, unwavering support. Now, government is committing about 150 million Ghana cedis for the fight against Galamsey. So taking decisive action to end illegal mining and restore degraded lands and water bodies. So key water bodies and forest reserve declared as high security zone. It means that if we see you there doing anything, boom, you're going to be in trouble. 1,000 dedicated security officers permanently deployed. The new regulation requires pre-approval of GPS tracking for all excavators. That's very important. So government has also made a decision, because at the end of the day, government or people are bringing in the excavators. So now if we have tracking, GPS tracking on it, and if they don't disable it at the end of the day, it then means that at every time, at a certain central management system or location, they will know where each excavator is at. So that when an excavator, per the GPS tracking system, is located in an area that has been designated as a high security zone or an illegal mining area, then quickly they can go there and arrest whoever is responsible or is owner of those excavators. So, I don't know. We are praying that this fight, they will do it well. There is forestry guard and coast guards. I mean, they've trained a lot of people to try to fight this. So these are the things that the government intends to do in the 2026 budget to secure our nation, number one, and protect our resources. But the big question we ask ourselves is, okay, where is the money coming from? So let's look at the revenue sources. Government is projected to get quite a number of amounts coming in for revenue. And so total revenue and grant for the 2026 is around 268.1 billion Ghana cedis. And that is an increment of about 18% of the projections they did for 2025. But what are the compositions? So this is where, if you are doing issues such as public sector accounting and finance, the sources of revenue, the revenue breakdown. The first one is the non-oil tax revenue. Is projected to be around 216 billion Ghana cedis, and that is about 80%. So really, tax revenue is the primary source of revenue to the government, right? Because at the end of the day, government expenditures must be financed through tax. So tax revenue is a primary source of revenue to the government. And noting that every resident of Ghana must pay tax. Okay, sometimes you hear people say, government didn't create a job. We are doing our small things, earning some money on YouTube, earning some money on X, earning some money on TikTok. Government want to come and tax it. What kind of thing is that? The law didn't say that government is supposed to create jobs. No. But the law says, if you earn money and you are a resident of Ghana for tax purposes, you are supposed to pay tax on the money you earned. That's the thing. So you don't sit down and say that, because I hear that a lot. I hear that a lot. People complaining, government didn't create any job for us. Government didn't create any job for us. My small thing that I'm doing to government want to tax me. Created a lot. And recently, this gentleman, Pella, the Nigerian TikTok streamer, I think the Revenue Authority in Nigeria gave him an assessment, I think so, on the tax that he's supposed to pay. And he was on social media ranting. And I'm like, doesn't he have people around him? He was on social media. What has the government done for him that the government is bringing him a tax that he's supposed to pay? You could go to jail for evading taxes. You could go to jail. So, and you've heard this. There are footballers, celebrities outside in Europe, America, who have gone to jail for tax evasion. So the government is not responsible to create a job for you or to employ you. That's not the government's responsibility. But if you make money, you are supposed to pay tax on it. Why? Because that is the primary source of revenue to the government. So as far as you are making some money and you're a resident of Ghana, then you are supposed to pay tax on it. So please, don't sit anywhere and say, I'm doing some small thing on TikTok. I'm earning some small money on X. I'm getting some small money on YouTube. Then the government is coming to tax me. Yeah, the government will tax you. Today, there was something trending on X where people were posting about how much money they've earned on X because it was payday. And people were posting and people were posting. And I was just there laughing. Because what you are doing is GRA is going to sit down and say, oh, wow. And that area is Jate's area, right? Some judge, his area. So they're going to sit down and say, people are making money a lot on X. People are making a lot of money on TikTok. And they have already started the TikTok agenda, streamlining so that people can receive money through GCB Bank, and they are going to build a tax system into that thing so that before the money hits your account, they have taken the tax. Because if you earn money, you must pay tax on the money so that that tax will be used to develop our country. I know somebody will say, even if we pay the taxes, we don't see what it is used for. That one you can argue with the government. When it is time to vote, you can use your thumb to decide who should manage your tax revenue or not. So whether the government is using the tax revenue for what you think they should use it for or what they are not using it for, you have a civic responsibility to pay your taxes as far as you are earning an income. So this is to everybody. If we can do our bit and pay our taxes, it will be good. Oil and gas receipts, about 13.3 billion, because yes, government gets some money from oil and gas. Now, assuming that they're going to be some steady in international oil prices, but if oil prices are affected internationally, then this revenue is likely to suffer going into the future in that particular case. Then, development partners, government expects just about 3.1 billion from grants and donations. And that's good because for nation building, you don't want to rely a lot on donor partners for your country finances. Because over-reliance on donor partners means that there will be influence in your socio-economic policies. That's it. Because if you are always begging them for something, then they would determine and tell you what you can do and what you cannot do. So if you remember, under the previous administration, when this whole LGBTQ plus thing came up, the then finance ministry wrote to the presidency, allegedly, wrote to the presidency and say, hey, thou shalt not sign that thing into law. Because if you sign it into law, we're going to lose a lot of donor partners, and there are a lot of other negotiations we are already in that this LGBTQ plus thing will affect. And that is what happens when a country is not dependent and a country doesn't build its own systems to generate its own revenue. Because those donor partners will now tell you what you can do, what you cannot do, what is acceptable, and what is not acceptable. That is the idea. You think any country can tell Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, or Qatar should accept something that is against their religion, that is against their social norm? You dare not. Because they are not coming to you for anything. They are not coming to you for assistance. If anything, they are doing business with you and they are paying the market value. But if we have a country and we over-rely on donors, then our country will be really affected. So I like it, just only 3.1 billion. That's okay, because if we're able to build this country well, there's a lot we can generate. Then other inflows will include the Social Security, that is SNIT, transfer to NHIL, and all of those things will also contribute to about 14.4 billion. So these are the various sources of revenue that the government expects to be able to generate its 268.1 billion Ghana cedi revenue from. So this is how government is going to make the money. So do you like free SHS? Do you like the big push project? Do you like the express road and the infrastructure things? Do you like Mahama Care? Are you okay with the first year free education they are offering to the university, like tertiary institutions? If you like all of those things, then you have to contribute your quota. What is your quota? Pay your taxes. So someone gives you a gift. Maybe this week you receive a gift. Tomorrow morning, Monday, go to GRA. Then you say, I'm here to pay my gift tax. That's how we will build our nation. But those are the income inflows. Then the big question we ask ourselves is, okay, where is the money going? And we've looked at this already, some of the things the government want to spend the money on. Certainly the big push projects, about 30 billion there. Energy sector payments, 20 billion there. Ministry of Education, they are getting some money. Get Fund, free secondary school. The District Assembly Common Fund, because it's important. When it comes to the local assembly, metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies, their primary source of funding their operations is the District Assembly Common Fund. And as per the 1992 Constitution, at least 5% of total government revenue should go to the District Assembly Common Fund that they receive during the year should go to the District Assembly Common Fund. And so that's an important money that will help the metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies to be able to undertake their work at the end of the day. Then the Mahama Care, the money will go there. Oil palm development, and then the LEAP program. These are some key expenditure issues that will come in. Then certainly goods and services, running the machinery of government, and wages and salaries, compensation of government employees. So in a nutshell, the Black Star is rising once more. To our international partners and investors, Ghana is back, strong, credible, and open for business. The story of Ghana is no longer the one in crisis, but of recovery and renewal. In the words of the finance minister, the storm has passed, the foundation is firm, the horizon is bright. Together, under the visionary leadership of President John Dramani Mahama, the nation builder, we are building the Ghana we want. These are some of the key issues you must understand about the 2026 budget of the Republic of Ghana.